Social media can be super difficult to stay focused with and not to get too overwhelmed with. Personally, I find myself getting bogged down and overwhelmed by the amount of content I see and the constant perception that you have to kind of keep up with everything or try to keep up with what's happening and constantly changing. These are 3 tips that I personally use to help myself stay focused and use social media for my benefit rather than for my detriment. This is off topic, but about 2 weeks ago, I broke my laptop. The worst thing about it was I woke up and it was broken, so it obviously fell and right there cracked and it's not working, so we're going to get that fixed right now and then we're going to get into the video. You know, I use my laptop to make my content. I make most of my content for YouTube, and if I'm not making it for YouTube, it's snippets from my videos or it's color grading, etc. for Instagram and the other apps. I was away in Portugal for like 7 days and I came home and it's lashing rain in Ireland and the winter is in full swing, which is fantastic. Normally I don't mind winter, but for some reason this summer seemed to go so quickly. I'm not really ready for winter yet. I was gonna record the rest of this video while I was waiting and silly Dylan did not pack another battery and this battery is dead, so you probably won't hear from me again. Okay, so as we discussed, social media is the bee's knees. Realistically, it's connected us to an entire audience that we've never had access to before. We all know how good it is, but on the other side of the sword, it can be quite detrimental. And for me personally, I find it to be overwhelming and sometimes just pure stressful. As I am a content creator, a lot of my work resides on social media. I have to find ways that I can make it more enjoyable and more manageable for myself. In this video, I'm going to share my 3 tips on how I try to keep social media a little bit less overwhelming and a little bit more productive and helpful for me as a content creator. The first one, and this is the most important one, and I think this applies to everybody, is spend less time on social media. I think there's a rule of thumb that if you are spending time on social media, you should look at your ratio from creating to consuming. Are you consuming more content than you're creating, or are you creating more content than you're consuming? There is a balance inside this where you do need to consume content to stay up to date with the trends, what's popping on social media, and also to find inspiration through other creators. That's super important and super useful on social media. However, you should be creating more than what you're consuming. If you find yourself spending hours a day just scrolling aimlessly through social media, more than likely you're spending too much time and you're going to find yourself getting pretty overwhelmed pretty quickly. I made a video on an app called 1 Sec about 4 weeks ago and it has changed the game for me. It seriously helps me reduce the amount of time I spend on social media and it makes me be more mindful and more thoughtful when I actually go onto the platforms. So the first tip is to spend less time on social media, and the bonus tip is to look at your ratio. How much are you creating versus how much are you consuming? Number 2 is choose your platform. It's important to be diverse across all social media platforms, whether that's TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. But for me, I like to focus my attention to 1 or 2 of these platforms and really try to grow on those platforms themselves. For me, my favorites are Instagram, YouTube, and recently Vero. Vero is a relatively new social media. You've probably heard about it if you've watched any of Peter McKinnon's recent videos. It's basically a new photo sharing platform that's kind of taking on the atmosphere of old Instagram, but adding some new things into it, like you can share music you're listening to, you can share videos, etc. But it's more photo driven. The feed is really pretty and it's nice. I like it personally and I'm trying to spend a little bit more time there. While it's important to focus your resources into all areas on social media to see the most amount of growth, it's still important to be diverse across all social media platforms. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself onto one and find yourself getting limited growth, but I do recommend that you focus on 2 at least and try to see tangible growth in those areas. It allows you to tailor your content to those platforms, and it also allows you to experiment without getting overwhelmed from all the different trends, sounds, different techniques. If you are trying to excel at content in any one of these regions, have a plan, you have a strategy, and you execute it. Bonus tip on this one is actually use social media you enjoy. The reason I don't personally use TikTok is I can't control myself. I find myself spending hours on TikTok. I will just binge and binge and binge, and maybe it's because my discipline isn't there, but man, I can't use it. I've had to delete it so many times and I just don't have it on my phone anymore, and I feel better for it. Although I enjoy consuming TikTok content and a load of my friends make great TikTok content, I don't trust myself on the platform, so I had to cut it out of my life. And that's okay. It's a deeper issues there, but it's fine. All in all, choose platforms you like. For me right now, that's Vero, YouTube, and Instagram. sometimes. This is the most important tip, and it's the one that I find most useful. Have a plan. Create a social media strategy. For me, creating a social media strategy and a social media plan is one of the first things I will do when I'm looking at taking a block of content and implementing it onto my socials. Otherwise, you're swinging aimlessly, you're creating videos here and there, and if you're busy, sometimes I find I don't have the time in the day to create an entire video, so I need to pre-plan and I need to look at when I can get it shot, when I can get it edited, and when I can post it. Having a plan is essential. Without a plan, you're planning to fail, and I truly believe in that. It's all about having tangible goals. If you have a plan that says, for me right now, I want to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I need to look at that, I need to break it down into actionable steps, and that makes it a lot less overwhelming and a lot more tangible. It's something I can do. It's a daily task rather than a couple of months trying to be condensed into a day. It's not as overwhelming, it's a lot more approachable, and overall it's leading to a higher success rate. So that's the most important one, and it's also the most broadest one. Having a plan is difficult. You know, you need to know what you want to get from social media, and maybe you don't know that right now. And if that's the case, I suggest you just have fun with it. You just post what you want when you want, and if you're not overly pumped on trying to lift your followers or lift your engagement or try to reach new people, then just do what you want to do, man. Have fun. Social media is supposed to be fun, and I think in the last 5 years it's shifted much more towards a business tool, which is great, but it's also limited how much people enjoy social media. There is the other side, and TikTok's made it quite fun again. It's all about what you want to achieve and what you want to get from it. Overall, those are my 3 tips to any content creator that finds themselves overwhelmed, stressed out, and just bamboozled by the whole social media world. It's very normal. I feel it daily, and that's why I really try to reduce my time. That's the most effective one for me in order to find myself less overwhelmed, alongside with the plan. And of course, use platforms that you want to use. Don't just use the platforms that you know are popping because other people's popping on it. That's going to generate shit content. Shit content happens when you don't love what you're doing, you don't have a genuine interest in what you're posting, and you're not confident in the content you're creating. That is how I find myself staying less overwhelmed and more focused and finding myself achieving tangible goals. So this is a quick video, but man, it's super important, and you know, I got my laptop fixed, so we're going to be back on it. And with that fix, I'm coming in with a plan. I'm focused and I know where I want to go with it. It's been great chatting to you, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you got something useful for it, subscribe, because there'll be more, and hopefully I can give you more gems of knowledge from the inside of my brain. It's a fun time always, people. I love you all. Big hug. Oh, we mixed the camera. Right, I'm out of here. See you later. Subscribe, like the video, and comment if you like me. Part 3, 4, 5 phantoms. Drug dealers, murders, and the scammers. Crack it out, break for your members.